Hi guys, and welcome to Rayo with Rayo, the podcast to celebrate self-development and learning. I am Araya, and today I have Kemka.
Clap. I don't know.
Wait,
usually when you listen to like the podcast, like you hear something in the background. It's like, so I'm just like, where's the claps? But it's like, just us here. Yeah, Hi, welcome. This is Real with Rayo. My name's Kemka, and yeah, happy to be here.
I'm very happy to have you. Kemka is a fashion, art, film, and portraiture photographer. His work has been featured on Vogue, the British Journal of Photography, BBC, The Guardian, the Financial Times, ID, Arsenal team, and even commissioned for the English Heritage Project.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Thank you. First of all, disclaimer before anyone kind of comes for my neck. The Vogue thing, what's it called? It's photo Vogue, which is basically, it's not like, when you say Vogue, people assume it's like, the front page of the magazine and stuff. It's not actually that. They have like a online division.
Yeah. But you're literally on the website, like as of yesterday, I Googled you and like, you're still there.
I came up?
Yeah, like Vogue, like you're on there. It says like portraiture photography, Kemka Ajoku.
I haven't checked in like a long time, so I didn't know if it would still be like a thing, but that's cool.
If anyone wants to check.
That's where I've had my work shown, I guess. And just trying to, keep it cool.
Humble.
You know what it is? I feel like I'm mad shy right now, so I feel like after like 20 minutes, you're just going to see me like standing on the sofas and stuff. So, but no, thank you. It's really weird to hear like the stuff you've done before read back to you. So that was quite nice to hear.
Out of all the features that you've had, which one has been your favorite?
Favorite in terms of what, like the work that was made or like the actual like...
I guess both. We could do like the work that was made and also which one meant the most to you.
I think it's easier for me to say the one I meant the most because I'll say probably Days Magazine. Because that was the one that actually did the profile on me, rather than like me taking pictures of maybe someone or something else and that being showcased and then it's like that by me. It was just like they had like a little series on different creatives that they did every issue, and they had me interviewed and stuff, and like I think it was last summer's issue. There's like a page of just me and like questions that I answered on it, so that was pretty cool. In terms of work, I don't really know. Sometimes they're different. Like I do a lot of work that no one ever sees. Usually if the subject matter I feel just isn't engaging to like what I usually do or the audience I work, like that sees my work, you know, I just tend not to showcase it. But I think the coolest one I've done probably, I did something with the tape for the New York Times. So they have every year they have.
Oh yeah, I saw that actually. You posted it like in December, right?
Was it December? It was like
January.
No. It was way before. This was like October, November, maybe.
Oh,
I think November.
Was it before I reached out to you?
I think so. Okay. Or around that time, anyway.
I think because I remember you posting it, and I was like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, every year they have this. The Tate Modern uses the Turbine Hall, which is like the main entrance, which is like a big just space of just like air literally, and they have an artist use the space and make work there. So literally days before it was completed, they asked me to come and photograph it as an installation, and I just happened to meet the artist El Anatsui, who was still kind of working on it days before it was supposed to be launched. So I was able to photograph him, speak with him, and also his work. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Okay, before we get into like the main episode, let's play a little game.
Oh, jeez. You know what it is? Before we started, I was like, you know what? I want to come with like the purest of, not hearts, but like, I just didn't want to know what I was walking into. Yeah. So I intentionally didn't watch the full episodes. Oh. Just the like snippets that you post. Okay. Just so that like I'm not coming with some like
preconception.
Yeah. So
that's like, I like that.
I was just like, if we're being real, then let's be.
Hello.
It's not fake and rehearsed with Rayo. It's real. So.
Yeah.
So, sure.
Okay, so. Well, it's pretty simple. I just have a list of questions that I have on my phone, not relating to the podcast.
Sure.
So pick since I know the questions, pick 2 numbers between 1 to 20, one for me and one for you. And then I'll answer the questions allocated to the number.
When's your birthday?
14.
Of?
April.
Okay, so 4 and 14.
Ooh. Okay, which one's for me? Which one's for you?
Oh, good question. Seeing as you're 14, 14's for you, 4's for me.
Ooh.
You're in trouble. I better check this phone. You better not like choose another.
I'll tell you off camera, but yeah, I haven't looked at these questions in a while. So 14 is describe your relationship with yourself in 1 word. And 4 is what is the most challenging relationship in your life right now? Are you fighting for it?
Good question. I mean, which one am I supposed to answer?
So you're 4.
Yeah, which was the first one?
No, 4 is what is the most challenging relationship in your life right now?
Okay, I'd rather answer that one. When you say relationship with like people?
Yeah.
I don't really have any tough relationships. I don't know. I'll say there's a friend. There's somebody who I guess thinks I'm in the wrong for something that technically I'm not in the wrong for. And like, yeah. It's weird because I reached out to reconcile, but like they weren't on that time. So it's just very much like, okay, when they're ready to and everything. But like, I literally didn't do anything wrong, Sha. That's on camera, like my hands are clean. But yeah, generally like I don't really have any bad relationships with anyone. Like, even if I feel like a relationship will end, I always do whatever I need to do to make sure it ends on like civil terms. You know, I hate having like a lingering, or somebody just having a bitter taste in their mouth when they think of me, you know? Like, that's one thing I just never like to do, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually, because, I don't know, opposite to you, I'm very, like, at peace with, because I feel like when I'm in a situation or I'm in, like, a relationship with anyone, like friendship, romantic, whatever, I always go into it with, like, the purest of hearts, and I'm always, like, true to myself. So however it ends, I just don't really care how you
real shot. That's actually really good.
Me, because I feel like I know what it is, you know what it is.
I need to do more of that.
It's kind of like that. But I guess because life is so uncertain, it's always good to, you know, make sure you leave things in like a positive
on a good note.
Space. I don't know, I just don't really care.
That's actually very true, because I feel like for the longest I was such a people pleaser. You know what I mean? Like I just had to make sure, like, okay, not even that, like, I'll ask people for a good, like, I would know or not or whatever. But, like, I just wanted to always make sure that, you know, things were good. Yeah. And it would come at a cost of me kind of sometimes having to bend backwards to make sure that the person's fine. And it's like, there was one day I just kind of woke up and was like, you know what? I don't really care anymore. Like, I shouldn't really, but I'm trying to get used to that. So not caring and just kind of knowing that, okay, so long as I know I wasn't wrong, or I'm not a bad person, or I don't look to, you know, do any wrong to anybody, then whatever anyone thinks of me is not really important after that. So shout out to you for doing that.
I know, I think it takes a while. I wasn't always like this, but I think I just got to a point where I was just like, you know what, like, it is what it is.
It's tiring as well, you know, when you have to like...
And also like, I just feel like it's unfair to the other person to like always trying to like, you know, fix things, or like always trying to make sure things are okay. I feel like 2 people should be accountable. Yeah. You know, if obviously it's circumstantial, but if someone deserves an apology, they deserve an apology. But I feel like in some situations, it's not even necessarily about who's right and wrong. It's just about perspective. Yeah. And sometimes some people just can't shift their mind from their own perspective to see other people's perspective. Very true. And it's just exhausting to try to always like change people's perspective and narrative. Like, I just feel like, oh my God, okay.
I agree.
If you want to think that, then...
I feel like for me, it's not even about he said, she said. It's more so like, I've really learned that different friendships have different dynamics, you know? Like, I would say if somebody asked me, like, who's your best friend? I would name my friend Uche, right? But I've not spoken to him in about... properly like in a year. But when we jump on a call, because he lives in America now, but we went to uni together in Nigeria. So when we jump on a call, we literally catch up for like 5-6 hours, literally. And like, we just, but like, it's a thing where, okay, when we got the call, there's a chance we might not speak for like another 6 months, and we're both cool with that, you know?
It's like very low maintenance.
It's very low maintenance. And like, I feel like there's so many people who, if I've had like a really good, close relationship consistently for some time, and then like a period of time passes, I'm just there like scratching my neck, like, what, like, what's going on? Like, why aren't we, you know? But like, it's just a thing where it's like, life, innit? Like, you're so stuck in, like, I was so stuck in my head where I was like thinking, oh, this person hasn't, you know, I haven't heard from them or anything, like, I'm smelling, like, you know, and then when I, you know, it's like, I'm just kind of like, did I do something? And then when I now kind of like asked them, like, yo, what's up? Like, you good? We haven't heard. You just realize that like people are just going through so much stuff on that. And you're like, oh shit, like, I shouldn't have entered this with such a narrow mindset and just like a very self-centered one. So there's different dynamics with different people, so I'm learning how to kind of balance that. So it's going well so far, I guess.
Love that. My question, because I've already forgotten, was describe your relationship with yourself in one word.
One word?
I know, that's kind of hard. I would say it's very peaceful.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Stop it.
I swear, peace was the word that was in my head.
What?
You know, have you seen that video on Twitter of that guy who's in his like apartment, and then he gets like a fake text from a girl saying, oh, what are you doing today? He's like, nothing much. And he's like, do you want to come over? Do you want me to come over? And he's like, no, I'm at peace. And he now starts making like the hooker. You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's the funniest thing ever. It's like really corny, but like basically the idea is that somebody wanted to come over to his house and chill with him or whatever. And like, he was just like, no, like, I'm at peace. And then like, he's just like a little, you know, this tripod like guys, it's just him just doing like self-care and like, you know, enjoying his space. And everybody was laughing at him like, this is so corny. But I was like, real shy, like, you know, when I'm by myself and like, I do the most relaxing things to make me just like, you know, at peace. So peaceful is the word. Yeah,
I feel like that's definitely where I'm at now. Like, it's just, it's very simple. It's like work, podcast, beauty, family, God, friends. Like, it's just very
And you're
peaceful.
doing all of those things really well.
Thank you. And I'm trying to prioritize those things because I feel like at the end of the day, that's what matters. So, yeah.
How did you get into podcasting?
You know what? Naturally, I just love talking. Like, same. I'm that friend, like, I will call you at 8:00 in the morning and I'm ready to talk. Which is why I laughed when you were like, you know, when I asked you what time you wanted. Obviously, at the weekend, it's like 2 p.m. is fair enough.
Yeah.
But I have a friend that every Saturday morning, we like talk for at least 2 hours.
Wow.
And we just like talk, we catch up. So we won't talk like throughout the week, but then Saturday mornings, because she lives in Nigeria, and then we'll just like catch up. So I don't know, I love conversations. I love listening to other podcasts as well. I'm a huge fan of just the art of podcasting. It's an art, by the way. It's not just what you see on Twitter. But yeah, like, I don't know. And I used to have a YouTube channel, and I would also do like sit down videos as well, like lifestyle videos, and like all the lifestyle stuff was cool, but it's not really like me. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I love beauty, fashion, lifestyle, and all of that, but I really like just like conversations, like quality conversations. And I just felt like I've learned so much from other people, and I learned through other people. So I never really wanted it to be about me. I'm more so curious about different people. Yeah. And I just wanted to like pick their brain.
Well, I'm going to pick yours today too, because I mean, I feel like, you know, we should know what's the word? Podcaster, podcastee, but like very much like, you know, it's you and I in this today. It's not just you asking me this stuff. Like, I'm going to definitely try and pick your brain and see how you think about stuff. So be prepared. Okay.
Okay. I am happy to answer any questions. So when I reached out to you, you were in Lagos. Yeah. Or you were just about to go? I can't remember.
Probably just about to go. Okay. Must have been before Christmas, right? Yeah. So I was just about to go.
It was before Christmas. So how was that? How did you find Lagos?
Fun. I was there before this one that I went, which was like Boxing Day till the end of January. Wow. I was there in May/June for work, and I was there for 3 weeks. And it was a great time because it was the first time I was ever in Nigeria, and it wasn't for school, you know? So like, usually the plan was when I go to Nigeria, I'll spend maybe like a week in Lagos, then I'll go to uni. Then after uni or the semester's done, I'll go back to Lagos for a few days before my flight back to London, So there was never really a time where I can actually like enjoy Lagos.
Yeah.
So when I went earlier in May, I'm doing the podcasty hand thingy. When I went in May, it was great. I was there for 3 weeks.
Okay.
So I felt like, I had quite a bit more time than I usually do. Did things, but then I left feeling like I wish I did other things. I just had like I did certain things or and I feel like all the things I've always wanted to do while in Lagos, I was able to do.
Like what?
Good question. When I went in May, I didn't go to the beach. I did that twice when I went, and not like Elegushi Beach, like I went to Elashe Beach for the first time. I didn't even know we had like that much space by the beach. Then I went to Takwa Bay, which I always wanted to do, but like I just never knew where the hell it was or how to get there. So it was something I did this time. Spending good quality time with friends over there, you know, where I didn't feel like, oh, I was scheduling you into my
Oh, I hate when you get
you know what I mean? I was like, just chilling, like we don't have to have an agenda, like maybe we can go here or go there, but like we can just kind of, chill and actually just enjoy each other's company, so that was fun. I made work there, which is always great, and it was like a good mix of partying and rest, like I intentionally wanted to stay here for Christmas because my family, we all live here. So I was like, Christmas Day, gonna enjoy Christmas in London because I hate spending Christmas alone. I've done it once. I mean, I was with my uncle and their family, but like it's not like direct family. So like, I'm not gonna do that. Gonna enjoy it with my family. Then the day after, literally go to Lagos, catch that last week of December, and then like January just kind of rest and work and all of that. So I was able to get like a good balance of both. So happy about that.
That's good. So I know like you grew up here and then you went to uni in Nigeria. How did that come about? Like, did your parents decide, or because it's usually like the other way? Like
usually, yeah. Everybody does the other way around. I think it's a thing where, growing up, my parents moved to London literally the year I was born, so like a few months before I was born, and I just always had this understanding of Nigeria based on like what my parents would talk about, like watching AIT or BEN. I don't know if they're still running now.
I don't know.
I know AIT might be. BEN, very, very old school. And then like Nollywood, just kind of like, that was my idea. But I don't know, something in me just kind of wanted to like experience Nigeria like firsthand,
Oh, so it was your choice?
Technically, I mean, so it was a thing where the plan was for me to go during secondary school. That was like an idea that we had in mind. But my mom's a private tutor. So she kind of taught me into like a good grammar school in London. So it was a thing where it was like, we don't want to miss up this opportunity by ditching all of this and go to Nigeria. Let's see, like maybe after secondary school, we can see if you still want to do it in like university or something like that. And then, it was just a thing where like secondary school, I was kind of coasting with this idea that like I probably will go to Nigeria for uni and stuff like that. So when the time came, it was just like, I was still very much like 50-50 on it, but like, I was just like, let's just do it. And just, it's better to do that than finish uni here in the UK and then feel like, okay, I still don't know anything about our country. And I feel like a lot of people nowadays are playing catch up. A lot of braps,
Oh, do you know what's crazy? I was going to ask, I swear.
I'm not a brap.
I was going to ask
Camera 1, camera 2. I don't know if camera 3 can see me. I'm not a brap. Please, let it be on record. I'm not a brap. I may say in it every now and again, but I'm not a brap,
really?
Please.
I was literally going to ask you, like, because for you, where do you feel like you fitting? Or do you feel like you're just, because you've had a good balance, because you're an adult when you went to Nigeria. So I think it's
how old was I?
I think you're 18 when you go to uni, no?
Yeah, but Nigeria uni doesn't start at 18.
Oh, that's true.
I finished GCSEs and went straight to Nigeria. I didn't do A-levels. So I was like 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was like,
no.
You did sixth form here and then, okay.
By the time you're supposed to go into uni here I was already entering my third year
That's crazy.
of uni. And uni there was 5 years for me because I did engineering.
Right.
So I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. Very much like a deep end experience. I had to learn everything from scratch.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And it was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were times where it was very tough, it was jarring, it was annoying. Sometimes, you know, you talk and then people will be like, speak English, and I'll just be like, but it was a fun experience. I don't regret it whatsoever. So happy about it.
Would you, like, if you had children, well, I don't know if you want children, but if you had
I would love children.
When you have children, do you want them to kind of have that same experience?
It's a conversation I have with myself all the time, where it's like, first and foremost, where will my children grow up?
Yeah.
You know, every corner of this earth has a comma, and the three main options are the UK, the US, and Nigeria. You know,
Yeah.
but every corner of the earth has something about them. But I definitely would want my children to do some form of education in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Just so that they understand it, you know? Because my biggest fear was, I don't want to be, I don't know, in my mid-30s, and then my kids are like, Daddy, we want to go to where you're from. I land in Matala Mohammed, and then I'm just there like, you know, like,
Clueless.
literally, like, it's not, I don't feel like it's a good look. And like I said, I see it now where so many people now are like, oh, Nigeria is this, Nigeria, we need to go, and they get there and they're just like, so many of my friends from here went to Nigeria this December.
Yeah.
And they'll be at like events and they'll just be so bored, sat down because they just don't know anyone. Yeah. Like, you know, and it's like,
it's a real, like, it's weird though, because I'm sure some of them are Nigerian. So it shouldn't be a culture
It's like an
shock,
identity crisis.
That's a good word.
It's an identity crisis. Because here you're not made to feel like you're British.
Yeah.
You go there and then you feel like you're not Nigerian. And that was something I experienced at 15, 16. So when I kind of, you know, broke out of that mold, I'm not saying I'm like I'm like every other Nigerian that lives in Nigeria, but like I have a firm understanding of the way to do things. So I'm kind of happy with that balance. But yeah, I do feel like I've always been a bit of a chameleon where I've had to kind of just see myself in a certain space and just kind of not necessarily fit in, but just kind of adapt to the way things are in that space. So
would you ever live in Nigeria?
Good question. Live knowing that is not the end goal.
Really?
I don't know, Sha, because different times of like, you know, if I'm like in my 60s or stuff, and like I could live in Nigeria if it's like a lot better than the way it is now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind like a 3 to 6 month stint, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I do feel like it can be a bit of a retreat. There's so many things that just, the weather's great, the water's great,
the food is
great. And just being, in a space where you just see people that look like you, it's just a comforting thing, you know? You don't
It gives
feel...
you confidence as well.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I'll still walk. People do say that, like, you know, they'll walk and they'll know that I'm not from here, but like, I definitely feel a bit more comfortable just kind of just being out and just, you know, being free in Nigeria. So live, still up for debate, but I definitely would want my kids to spend some form of their education in Nigeria, whether it's secondary or university, probably secondary school, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love about like your stories that you're self-taught.
Yes.
And I was listening to a podcast you did with the BBC Cultural Frontline.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You listened to that?
Of course I did. And you said you like to joke that you went to YouTube University because everything you learned is from YouTube.
Yes.
And I related because I literally feel like YouTube kind of raised me as well. Just because as a media lover, I've always loved like, you know, the media and the internet from a very young age. So I was naturally very curious. Like I found just my favorite artists by myself from YouTube.
Real.
But also like I learned how to do my makeup from YouTube. I learned how to cook from YouTube. I learned how to edit videos.
Cooking from YouTube is crazy.
Yeah. Edit videos on YouTube. Like even things like just setting up like my camera, for example, like my vlogging camera when I used to vlog. So yeah, like I really related to that. And I feel like a lot of people around our age now are starting to get to a point where instead of like, you know, investing this money in like some form of like training, it's like you're investing in yourself and you're taking that power back and like teaching yourself everything that you know. So how was that for you, like being from YouTube University?
So yeah, I feel like the way I stumbled upon it was I was in my 3rd year of university. 2nd year was a rough year because I don't know if you know of Covenant University, which is the school I went to.
Do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much on it, but I remember after 2nd year finished, I lost so many friends. Most of them either got expelled, suspended, on probation, or they decided just to transfer. So, and I literally did not not drop out, but I did not enter that field of people, literally by the skin of my teeth.
So you were like,
what
are you doing?
You know what it is? It's just one of them things where it's like, school was tough. Yeah, it was just one of those things where like, I don't want to say I was mixed with the wrong crowd because they were all good people.
Right.
But it was a thing where it's just like, yeah, I was definitely in those mixes where like, if they kind of gathered all of us together and I was part, I would have definitely, been in that kind of. But at the same time, I also knew how to like play the game of the university.
Yeah.
There were some people who were very much like, I don't care that, F the system, I'm going to do my own thing. And I was like, that's cool, but like, they're going to catch you out, you need to know who to talk to about things a certain type of way. And not everyone did that. But anyway, I entered 3rd year. A lot of my friends had left. I was kind of bored because I was studying engineering and there's not really much you can do with engineering in your spare time. So I remember I was in my hostel and I was roommates with this guy who was a couple years older than me. He was supposed to be in final year, but he was on probation, so he was redoing another year, and he was now roommates with me. And normally it's like not usually the norm to be in the same room with somebody who's in a different level, which is like a different year.
Okay, yeah.
So he was very much like annoyed to be there. I felt very weird because it was very much like I've never really had like an older person living with me. But
are you the first child?
I'm the middle child.
Okay.
Sadly. I mean, not sadly, but like we have our perks. But so anyway, he was my roommate and he obviously he was a rapper. He used to make music. Okay. So he used to have like all these kind of creative friends come to his room. 2 of them being Femi Johnson and Chuka Mwobi. I quote them because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing photography today. So I remember we would just be in our rooms, just talking, listening to music, watching videos. They put me onto like so many different artists and stuff like that. This is about 2017. So I remember I had like an iPod, which I would use to take pictures just casually. When you had like a VSEO account, like you'd use like edits and stuff. So I just used to take pictures very casually. Was doing it from secondary school. So it was just very much like a casual hobby I like to do. And they would go and go through my iPod and look at the photos I was taking, and they were like, oh, like these are really good. You should learn how to, use a camera. Right. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, like cool. If I start shooting with a camera, I have to start shooting people, which I'm kind of scared about. But let me learn how to, let me at least learn how to use a camera, or like what I need to learn about a camera because they're quite technical. So I just thought, let me just go on YouTube and just learn the basics of like photography. And I would download videos because the Wi-Fi in the hostel was terrible. So during the day, I would go to like, my lecture halls and stuff, and I'll just be on my laptop downloading like YouTube videos. Like,
so you can watch them.
So I can go back and like when I'm eating, when I'm doing like, assignments, when I'm ironing, all that, like I'll just be watching videos. And it was a thing where like, if you've watched everything, you just keep rewatching them, So I learned pretty much the very basics from that. Which looking back now, I feel kind of like it's counterproductive because I feel like because I was learning on YouTube, I felt like I needed to learn twice as hard as someone who would have went to school, because it's like, I don't really know, like the knowledge I'm learning is not like a school level. Yeah. But that made me so like technical
Right.
that like now I'm trying to unlearn some of those things so I can be a bit more creative. I feel like it's very hard to be creative and technical at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So nowadays I still see a lot of that technical thingy in my work, and I'm just like, I need to kind of, be a bit more free when I'm working.
And
so
just have fun with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I had like hundreds of gigabytes of YouTube videos on my laptop by the time I finished. So it was from watching YouTube and stuff like that I kind of gained an understanding.
That's really interesting. So do you like go back and still watch YouTube videos now?
No.
So do you feel like you've mastered?
It's not about mastering. It's just a thing where it's like the things I want to learn now, they're not on YouTube.
Right. Like what?
Just more about the industry,
Okay.
You won't see YouTube videos on how to kind of do certain things, because it's very much like no one really kind of provides that information free willingly.
Right.
And plus, in that stage of your career, people's paths are very different. So there isn't one way. Like obviously there's a way to take a picture or get the settings to take a picture. That one's universal. Everyone can learn that. But like when it comes to a career path, the creator career path is very diverse. Like there's not going to be like a YouTube video on how to do it. So that's what I'm navigating on my own. But yeah, looking back now, some of the YouTube videos are also really like corny as well. Like the photography, like the type of pictures they take, they're very, very like TikTok-y. Like when you have like a puddle on the floor and like you take the camera and like, please, I don't need to learn those ones. But
okay, you're coming in shady today.
But it's like, yeah, like I know the type of work that I like. Right. I know the type of work I like to make. And there comes a point in time where it's like, okay, you finished now, just go and do your own thing, So
yeah.
But yeah, YouTube is great. I feel like I need to learn. There's some things I need to learn actually that YouTube would help with in terms of like post-processing and, the more technical sides of editing that I still have a lot to learn about. But when it comes to the very basic stuff, I feel like, yeah, I've kind of established that.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch on like gatekeeping information. Did that hit her?
Interesting.
Yeah, just because you touched on that in terms of like the things you want to learn now and not on YouTube. And I feel like this is why I guess TikTok is great, because a lot of people, I'm not even like a huge like TikTok user. Like
it's okay to be.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying the reason why I'm not is because honestly, like when I'm on there, I can be on there for 2.5 hours straight. Yeah. Like even last night, I was literally there and I was like, wait.
What it is? My sister was always telling me like, she wasn't telling me to go on YouTube, but not YouTube, TikTok. But I'll just be like, I've had TikTok on my phone for 2 years and I've never spent more than 5 minutes at a time on it, until one day it was just like, the algorithm finally clicked. And
they know. Let me tell you how, because I love sleeping. Like I love naps.
Same.
I have been getting TikToks on like how to better your naps, like the best time to take a nap. Like
really,
it's so granular and it's so like, this is for me. I sent it to my friend Stephanie and she was literally dying because she was like, it's the way they know like you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's no shade. Like I love TikTok, but I just have to manage my time. So that's the reason why I try not to like go deep into it. But one of the things that's so great about it is that a lot of people are very willing to like share information and give free game. But I guess, it's still social media. You're still speaking to strangers. So there is a cap on that. So in your experience in like the industry, have you found like people that are really like willing to just give you information, and how's that been?
It is. I was actually telling my friend about this either yesterday or 2 days ago. For me, because I literally started out taking pictures in the middle of nowhere, Nigeria, when I came back to the UK after finishing, I didn't know anybody in any sort of creative field or any sort of like, quote unquote industry. So I had to kind of navigate that my own way. And I didn't really have, I don't want to say like I didn't have, because that would definitely do a huge disservice to a lot of people who helped me out. But like, I really didn't have somebody that I can just kind of run to who's had like years of experience and like, you know, so like a lot of it was navigating my own way. Like the camera I use today, I stumbled across it watching a random YouTube video. So I was like, what's this camera? It looks weird. Watched more YouTube videos on that. Stayed up till like 3 a.m. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy this camera today. I was like, you know what? Cam can sleep on it because you can be very impulsive. Woke up at like 5 a.m. that same morning and bought it. You know what I mean? But it's like going back to the idea of like giving free game. I didn't really have anybody who I could just kind of ask a million questions and they'll give me like 1,000,001 answers.
Yeah.
So when people do ask me, I tend to kind of try and at least, you know, provide them with what I know. Yeah. Understanding that like I don't know everything and what worked for me may not work for you. And like, I'm not saying take it word for word or whatever, do as I say, but like, this is what happened, you know? Yeah. So I do that because I understand the frustration of having these questions and not having anyone to kind of run to. Yeah. And then at the same time, knowing that, you know, the way the world works, if you help somebody, somebody will help you, you know? So it's just kind of a thing where it's like, yeah. There's some things that I would say I do prevent people from knowing. Like what? I mean, it's not about preventing, but it's like one question I really don't like is that whole like, oh, I really like love the work you do. What camera do you use? And I'm like, bro, when you say that, like, I get what you're trying to do, but it also comes across to the person that the only reason the work is good is because of the camera you use. Ooh, you know what I mean? That's a good point. It's like, you wouldn't ask an artist, yo, bro, like, what brush do you use to make that stroke on the painting? Like,
that's actually a good point.
You know what I mean? Because when it comes to art, I just feel like there's certain things you should know how to do. And then when it comes to creating your own voice in the creative world and what you leave an impact on in the world, that's very much an individual journey that you have to take. Yeah. You know, so maybe the camera you use now is as a result of you experimenting with 10 other different cameras until you came to this one. You're like, this is the one I want, you know? Mm-hmm. So for somebody to now just kind of walk along and just be like, oh, what do you do? I want to, you know, it's just kind of like...
It's a bit lazy. That's what I was going to say. I feel like it's lazy. I feel like... I mean, like... What you said was great because I didn't even think of it that way in the sense of like, you're not going to ask an artist like, you know, what brushes you use. But yeah, I do feel like sometimes there's a thin line between like wanting to be curious and also just like, you know, putting in the work. Yeah. Like Kim Kardashian said, nobody wants to work.
We all have like, 24 hours.
We all have the same 24 hours. Like, I'm joking, by the way, I'm joking.
But it's a thing where it's like, okay, like there's some people who do ask, and I know it's coming from not a place of replication or just laziness, but like they're kind of intrigued. Judging the situation, I would answer, but like a lot of the times I just feel like it's not really what you're looking to get isn't what you should be looking to get. You know, you should kind of take that path on your own and come to a conclusion. Yeah. But to each their own, shot.
You know how like different producers have like different tags at the start of the songs, like it's
London.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What do you think makes like a Kemka shot like that is just like stamped?
I feel like it's not for me to know. Oh. I feel like it's for other people to tell me. Okay. But it's funny you say that because when I was taking pictures in uni, like all the photographers would have like their name like watermarked on it. And I was like, I refuse to do that, you know, because one, I just found it a bit corny. And two, I just had this idea that like, you should be able to know a picture that I took by looking at it, you know? I'm very particular on composition, which is one of the things I'm trying to kind of unlearn because it kind of makes it a bit static when you obey the rules of composition. Color is another thing.
I was going to say, I feel like one thing that stands out is like color.
I spend hours on color. Hours
on
color. Literally, like I'll be editing and then like it'll just be like sliders, like -10, -12, -11. And it's very like technical. When you now change something else, it affects other things. And like I spend so much time literally glued to my laptop just looking at that. I go to bed, wake up, look at it again. Okay, no, this needs changing. And I go with like the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at it with a fresh set of eyes. But yeah, I pay so much attention to color. I'm trying to learn color theory and understand it from a more scientific point of view and how certain colors make people feel. And, you know, if I'm trying to provoke or what's the word? Invoke a certain emotion onto the viewer, you know, how can I do that through things like color?
Yeah.
So, I would like to think that, but generally speaking, I would say it's not really about, I just want it to kind of, I want people to feel a certain way when they see the work and that feeling to be the signature. Do you understand?
I love that.
Because, you know, when you hear a song, you're just like, whew, like, wow, that's a feeling. It's not nothing to do with the bass or the treble or whatever. Like you hear it and it's like, I felt this way. And certain artists do that consistently with their music. I feel like the same thing with my work. I want that feeling to be there. You know, if I want it to be the feeling I want the viewer to feel.
I love that. And the feeling can't be replicated.
It can't. And I honestly believe that feeling is something that, especially when you see something for the first time, is real. You know, you can't fake a feeling. Like, so that first impression of when you see the work for the first time is something I pay a lot of attention to. So I would say that.
I love that.
But at the same time, I'm also submitting the fact that I can't dictate what the viewer feels or sees, or, you know, how they take it.
It's up to
so
perception,
it's very much to them. Like, I feel like there's a point in time where you have to give up the work and let it speak for itself, and how the person sees it is just as valid as how you wanted them to see, like, feel it, you know. So I'll say that's hopefully the signature.
Solid answer. Did you ever have like a season of waiting where you felt like you
No, I love that. No, continue.
Did you have like a season of waiting where you were just creating great work and you felt like, although like I'm enjoying this, like it's not necessarily being like recognized, but I don't know, like, did you ever feel like that?
I feel like one of the things that I'm very much always conflicted with when it comes to my work or making work or sharing work is the fact that when people, I was telling my friend this as well the other day, like, isn't it crazy that we invest so much into like our time and craft only for like somebody to just go and that's it, you know? And I do feel like so what's the question again? I'm so sorry. Like, I was just like...
No, the question was, did you ever feel like there was a season of waiting where you were creating?
Waiting.
And you didn't necessarily feel like it was being recognized?
To some degree, yes. I definitely felt like, you know, I've put in a lot of effort that I just feel like is not really being acknowledged. And it was very funny where sometimes the work that you do that's like your personal work that like you kind of made from scratch, wherever you created everything, sometimes that was overlooked, and then like that one picture that you just took in 2 seconds of a celebrity is now like the one that gets a lot of like attention and stuff like that. But I just learned that that's just like the psychology of people. They like seeing people they know and stuff. But I would say, I'm always in a state of feeling like, you know, I wish I had a greater audience to see my work and kind of digest it. I've learned to live with it a long time ago, you know. When I was in uni, I felt the same thing, whereas like the work I was making was very different to the work that photographers were making in uni, where it was very much studio lights and, you know, heavy retouching and all these things that I just wasn't really kind of connecting with. So no, I just feel like one thing I always say is that the good thing about what good work is that it stands the test of time, you know? So like people may not really get it now, but like maybe one day they would. And you just never know when it will be. And it could be a work you made the day before. It could be a work you made 10, 15 years before. But so long as you just keep on laying that foundation of, you know, good work, brick by brick, the structure is not going to fall. So I tend to be quite patient with that regard. And it's not really my focus.
Yeah. I really love that you said that, because that's something that I really strongly believe, and I try and like remind myself all the time, not even just doing like, I guess like this podcast, but even just like at work. It's like I went through a season where I felt like, oh my God, I'm working so hard and I don't necessarily feel recognized. And I'm not going to lie, I am someone that needs like positive affirmations. Like I need to be encouraged.
I need acknowledgement.
I need acknowledgement. Like I literally need it. And I just started to feel like, you know what? Since it's not acknowledged, then I'm just not going to like care as much. And then I found myself just like still doing like, you know, good, but I knew that I could put in so much more if I did feel acknowledged. And it was like clockwork. I got my promotion and I was like, oh my God, this was just literally what I needed, because I was just thinking of like, why am I even here? Like I started like questioning everything.
You never know. You never know. I was gonna say, because I like to look at things. I always say that everything in life can be looked at through football. Everything in life. When I tell you everything in life can be looked at through football, it's a thing where it's like, okay, now you're talking about that thing of feeling like, you know, you're waiting to be acknowledged or waiting for the work you put in to be kind of recognized. You just never know when that day is that you'll be recognized. The same way, if you're a child who's in a smaller football academy, right? You never know the one game you're going to play that somebody who's watching you is going to be like, I need to sign that guy up for, you know? And it could be the first day you play. It could be late into like your youth career, you know? But that shouldn't stop you from playing at a certain, like dropping to a certain level, you know? And it's very easy to do that when you feel like no one cares, no one's looking. So how do you, in those times where you feel like, you know, no one's kind of seeing the effort you're putting in, how do you maintain keeping things to a high standard? Because it's very easy to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to call off, no one cares anyway, you know? So how do you kind of keep maintaining a high standard?
Good question. I think for me, I like to just do everything with intention. I like to just draw it back, like forget what anyone else thinks. What do I think? Like, why am I doing this? At the end of the day, like I signed up for, in the instance of a job, because I wanted to have a job. Not necessarily, this might not be my ideal job, but I see it as a stepping stone towards something else that's meant for me. And I think for me, it's just like always seeing the bigger picture and always just knowing that I'm doing it for the right reason. Because I feel like if you're doing something for the right reason, you will get the acknowledgement. And similar to how everything can be drawn, you think everything can be drawn back to football, I always like to look at artists as a great example. Like, for example, I love Victoria Monet. I've loved her for so long. Shout out her, for real. Yeah. And now it's so funny, like, I was on Twitter and people were putting, like, for Moment, which is one of her old songs that was on, like, 2 EPs back. And love that song. And people are discovering it. And it's like, she didn't stop her greatness because people were not watching. Now, new people are looking at all this catalogue of great music that they can enjoy for the first time, and they're literally catching on. So it's always like they'll catch on. It's not about it's not about what they think, it's about what you think and why you're doing it. Because I truly believe that if your intention is in the right place, then you can never ever fail, ever.
And that's why it's important not to kind of, I really feel for people who are more like content creators, because they have to follow the trend, you know? And for example, now, nobody today is going to blow up from a TikTok trend that was in 2020, you know? Like, you have to be recent and you have to be constantly doing it. So like, I really acknowledge the work that they put in, but it's very different from like an artist point of view, where it's like, if you do not subscribe to the trends of the world today, whether it's in art, whether it's in, I mean, fashion's different because fashion's a bit more of an expression of like, you know, the times and everything. But like, if you just focus every day on making timeless work every single day, you know, it stands the test of time. It's a harder foundation to build on because the rewards aren't immediate.
Yes. I think the hardest part is actually building the foundation. Because once you set that foundation and you just keep tunnel vision, I think it's just easier. But the foundation is really where it's at. Because if the foundation is shaky, then
it's tough. So that's how I feel anyway. So
I want to talk about some of your work.
Okay.
You were commissioned to do a project for the English Heritage. What was that like for you?
I feel like today is still one of the best projects I've done for me, because it was definitely very much a research project, and then also kind of like from like I learned more about myself and who I was and where I come from through that project. So the way it came about was during COVID times, 2020 lockdown and everything. I was in Nigeria, so I was supposed to. That was supposed to be my final year of uni.
Okay.
So I was there. I remember in your final year, you work on like a project, which is like a dissertation kind of thing. So during the like in between semester break, I was supposed to go back to uni to work on my project because that's when you'd have all day to work on it. You don't have lectures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this was around March. So then there was this talk of this thing going on like around the world and like it was weird. And obviously there weren't that many people in the school. So after a couple of days, they just said to everybody, like, you guys just go back to your houses. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how long it's going to go on for, but
that's COVID.
Yeah, it was COVID.
Okay.
So it was like, while this thing is going on, just like, at least just stay in your house and just lay down until then. So cool. I obviously couldn't fly back to London because I didn't know how long it was going to last. I didn't know whether it would go back to normal in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, I just didn't know. So I was in my friend Uche's house in Nigeria for lockdown. And obviously it went on way longer than everyone expected. And then around that time, the whole, BLM thing happened where we had the march and like we had all the protests and rioting in America. And during that time, obviously there was a lot of awareness put out on that, but there was also a lot of online, there was a lot of like resources educating people on Black history. So I was learning so much about, just like the slave trade, how America was kind of built, the civil rights movement, and just kind of the timeline of events in America.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to myself, like, it's so good that we have all this access to like resources and information about what's going on there. But what actually happened in the UK? You know what I mean? I was just kind of like, surely we too have some sort of history, And I remember just being frustrated because I was like, where is this information? Like, why don't I have it? Like, I would connect more with what people were doing in the UK than I would in the US because I've never lived in the US. Yeah. I've only been there once when I was like a kid. So it's like, great, I see what you guys are doing over there, but like, I can't relate, There's a certain disconnect I have. So I remember just kind of going down this rabbit hole of learning about Black British history or just wanting to, And then towards the end of the year, I had this conversation with my friend Isabel. She's a photographer as well. And I was telling her that like, like there's so much like went on in our history that I don't know about. Like why? Like I was frustrated. So then there was this open call by this company called PhotoWorks that was working in collaboration with this institution called English Heritage. And they were like, we're going to make a project for young creative photographers that deals with the idea of heritage. So I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to explore what heritage is for me and, being Black British growing up. Let me pitch this idea to them and, make work that surrounds it. So that's what I did. And I did an interview process. I basically told them that like, this is how I got to this conclusion. Like I want to, use this opportunity to learn about my heritage. I was selected out of like, I think it was like 2,000 applicants. It could be 2,200. I can't remember, but I think it was quite a lot of people, right? So then, I just did the project. And as I was doing the project, it was 6 months I did just researching. And then like the shoot was 1 day.
Wow.
So I was like,
so you shot all of that in 1 day?
All of it in 1 day. Because what happened was during the process, I had to go back to Nigeria for a month to wrap up some uni stuff, like clearances and all of that. Because I wasn't on ground, I couldn't. So I had to wrap all of that. So that was really like a dent in the timeline. But when I came back, it was like, okay, we only have a few more weeks to actually do this. And given the fact that the location was outside of London, the budget didn't allow me and about 9 other people to spend more than 1 day there. Right. So it had to be done in 1 day. Okay. So, we did it. We shot it. But before then, like literally...
Beautiful project, right?
Thank you so much.
Like, honestly, if anyone is watching, like, because when I was going to have you on, when Thomason told me about you,
Shout out Thomason,
because she literally sent your page to me and she was like, you should have him on Real with Rayo. And I was like, oh, who is this? And then I went on your website, and then I just started doing like a lot of research on you, and I was like, oh my God, his work is phenomenal. Like, he's perfect.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
I was like, he's perfect for Real with Rayo. And then I started to do more research into like, also I want to touch on a lot of like the stuff you've done for other people is like great, but like your personal projects, I just feel like they're so good. Like, we're not workers. We'll touch on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, honestly, if you guys are listening or watching, I highly recommend you checking out his work because it's really good. Like, it's really beautiful. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so it was a thing where like, as time was going on, I was working on this project. I was telling people about it. I remember one day I was just literally on YouTube watching. I would watch a lot of like archival footage of like black people in Britain, like the 60s, the 70s. There was a documentary on like a housing estate in Tottenham, but it wasn't even to do with like the topics at hand. It was just, I mean, the topics were important too, but just kind of understanding how people looked, how they talked, how they acted, you know, the mannerisms and all of that. I just wanted to pick up on things and really kind of delve really deep into it. Halfway through the project, I remember my dad just coming to me, like, he didn't say too much. He just gave me like he gave me this like, what's the word? Sainsbury's bag, you know, those orange plastic bags. And inside was a photo book, and it was full of pictures of my grandma in Imo States back in like, I was seeing dates on the back of like 40s, 50s, you know, like old pictures of just her, people I had no idea who they were. My parents didn't know who they were, but just like archival pictures. Yeah. So I referenced some of those in the work, you know, I just kind of like, all these things just added layers to the project so that when it now finally came out, it was like, whew, this is it, you know? But yeah, it was one of my favorite projects because I was able to like really sit down with it and deep it and like research and just apply everything I learned into the images. So
yeah. And unfortunately, as great as your work was, you faced some...
Yeah, you really did your research, though. Yeah.
Oh my God. When I found out, I was feeling like it was like it was me. I was like...
Do you know okay, so let me tell you how I found out, right?
Sorry, to anyone listening, basically Kemka's work was vandalized and it was racially motivated. And he was targeted because the other...
That was even like the physical, like you didn't even, like there was so much stuff that happened online and stuff. Okay, so let me break it down for you, right? So I did a project with 3 other people.
Okay.
2 of them were, they were all girls. I was the only guy on the project, on the like list of guys. One other girl was black, and then 2 others were like, one was English and the other was like from like East Asian descent or so. But there were like 2 black people, 2 white people. But my project was the only one that was really blatantly, obviously black.
Right.
Like, it talked about black history, it talked about, you know, all the subjects were black people, and it was shot in one of the most like white spaces, far away from London, not far, but like away from London.
Yeah.
So English Heritage is an organization that they basically own a lot of like really prestigious locations in the country. So things like Stonehenge,
right,
they kind of oversee it. If it's like a really old heritage house, you know, they kind of like maintain it, use it as a tourist attraction, attract people to go there. So there's so many spots in the country that they're like owned by English Heritage. So for the project, they said, pick one and make a project around it.
Right.
I literally picked that one because it was the last one on the list in alphabetical order. It was like Rest Parks, it was W. So I was like, you know what, let me not go from the very, everyone will do that. Let me just work from the back. Literally Googled that location. I was like, yep, found it, don't need to check anymore. So when the project came out, on English Heritage's Instagram account, they posted it and the comments went crazy. It was like, I've been a member of English Heritage for 40 years and now you guys are trying to like, you know, black whatever, like this is not British, this is not, and I was like, to me, I was laughing my head off because I was like, I knew that this would like provoke this response in people.
Yeah.
It was just funny to see for me. Like, never was I ever like, oh, you know, like, but it was a thing where like, obviously because it's an organization, you know, and people are behind it, like they had to like talk to me about it. I had so many meetings about it and I was like, it's fine. Like, if the work is creating this emotion in people, then I did something right. You know what I mean?
I have to give you so much credit, because also I know you touched on this on like the podcast. The way you handled it, honestly, I think it was so good, but also just a great example to other people that, I mean, everyone is different, you know, but I think the main thing that really stood out to me about the way you handled it was, I don't want to give them that satisfaction.
Yeah.
And I feel like that in itself is just like enough said, because
it wasn't even a thing of me not wanting to give it to them. I didn't have it to give to them. Right. You know what I mean? Like, they definitely wanted me to feel some type of way. It didn't happen.
Good.
And even when I remember I was on my way to getting my vaccine shot, and I think it was the second one I got.
They called you, right?
And they called me on the phone, and they were like, and it was funny because they got the one Black woman in the organization to call me, so you can tell, like, and it was just like, I'm really, 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 really sorry, but you know, during the night, some people came and like they vandalized it, and like we already boarded it up, and I was like, okay, this is good. It's one thing for people to hate online, but for them to hate in real life.
Do you know how much energy that takes?
Yo, to like literally, because the location is big. You can't, people can decide to hide there overnight and sleep there, and no one will know.
Oh, wow.
It's like, you can't have somebody oversee every single square inch of the place.
Right.
So I don't know how they did it or what happened, but they said people broke into the location or they snuck in or whatever. And they like just used keys and just scratched it. They like wrote stuff on the faces and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. And it was just one of those things where it's like, I was really happy in hindsight. Like, I was really happy that happened, because it was just like, okay, art can really invoke somebody to go out and do that. Yeah. That like, I did that very well. So it was just one of those things. Like, I'm really not fazed by it. I wasn't then, I'm not now. And if anything, I'm actually really happy it happened, you know, because it just showed me that the things I'm talking about need to be spoken about, because they still happen today.
Exactly.
You know, the UK is so good at suppressing the racism that goes on. America, at least, you know, you will see it there, like it's there. People will talk about it. They acknowledge it. They know that they did it. They can't hide it. But the UK did it too, just as bad. And they're just so good at like, you know, it's not as bad as it is. Trust me, it was terrible. You know?
And it's still here.
It's still here.
Institutionalized as well. Like,
the more you look, it's institutionalized.
Crazy. Like, it's actually crazy.
One thing I like the US, like one thing I like about the US is that they have structure now where it's like, if we can't tell people, please hire Black people, let's make it a law that you have to have this percentage, you know, it has to be this, so that even if you don't want it to, it has to be, you know, like you can't just suggest some people to change. You need to enforce it until it becomes a norm. 20 years from now, people would see it as a norm to have Black people in spaces where they weren't before. Yeah. Because now it was enforced. Yeah, you know? It's mandatory. If you keep on just kind of nudging people to try it, it's not going to happen.
No, we need more than, exactly. We need mandatory laws.
So, I'm happy with it, man, honestly.
Whew.
I haven't spoken about this in a long time.
Yeah. How many years ago was this? Like 4?
Crazy, it's 3 years. So 2020, and then like I made the project 2021. So 3 years, which is insane.
Wow.
But yeah.
So we're All Workers is another personal project of yours that I just absolutely love. You took pictures of, I just love the story behind it as well. And like, I could really, I don't know, I really felt like when I was looking at this, the pictures of the locals. So basically Kemka took pictures of locals in Nigeria at different locations. I think you had one of like people at a bus stop waiting. Yeah. And like, they were just like different scenarios, but I felt like it just really captured like the essence of like, just like Nigeria in the most like normal sense as well, because when you think about Nigeria, it's like those are the things that will come to mind. And I love that you wanted to highlight that, like in the image of God, it's like we're all still just workers. Yeah. So one of the things that really just like jumped out to me was, what gave you that idea, and like what's your process like from conception to completion?
I mean, for me, a lot of the work I was making, I was just very, I don't want to say whimsical, but it's just like, let me just take an image that looks good and just move on, you know? And when it came to personal work, I was always very much like, I don't know what to make. You know, it's very, very personal, you know? But purely that project just came out of boredom. So that was after 2019, December. So 2019, I did my internship year in London. So that's when I started shooting on film. That's when I started, you know, kind of knowing what tools I liked to make the images I wanted to make. So I brought a bunch of film to Nigeria. I brought my camera to Nigeria for my final year because I actually wanted to shoot in the university with my camera. But because of COVID, that never happened. So when I came back, you know how I was telling you I was in uni, and then I came back because they told me about this thing called COVID that could happen or whatever. I was like, okay, great. This thing could happen. By this time, it was like March. The US had already entered lockdown. A couple of days later, the UK entered lockdown. So I was like, you know, Nigeria, we like to do follow.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is definitely going to touch Nigeria soon. I have a bunch of film. I have my camera. I'm in this house. Let me just do something. So I've always wanted to. So my friend Faye Folua, she used to do photography like a lot, and she used to shoot everyday people in Nigeria. And I used to always admire her work and be like, how are you able to just go out and just, you know, connect with, because you can see in the photos, like, it wasn't a thing where like she was taking advantage of people who were like living in rough times. Like you can see the joy in kids' face. Like they were happy she was connecting with them in a way that you can tell this is real portraiture. Because it's, you know, some people just come and go, but like there was a connection you could see through the images. And I always wanted to do that. So when I was in Nigeria, I was like, you know what? Lockdown is literally going to be in a couple of days. I know it. I just feel it. While I still have my camera and I still have, you know, some rolls of film and I'm literally not doing anything at home, let me go out and, you know, try and just take pictures of people. So I had a friend of mine, his name was EA, and he's Yoruba. So I was like, bro, see, if I speak to these guys, like, it's not going to go down very easily. So could you please just follow me? Let's just, you know, meet some people. If they don't know English or anything, you can please help me out, talk to them in Yoruba, stuff like that. But essentially, I wanted to go around and talk to these people and ask them about what they did. You know, I spoke about like, okay, there's this thing called lockdown that's happening because of COVID. It could happen soon where you're not allowed to leave your house. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, and the Alaji was like...
So then like, even this guy that like, he sells bamboos sticks, like, mind you, I like whenever I'm in Lagos, like in between London and uni, I stay in my friend's house, and every time we drive, I see like these bamboos. So I'm walking around, I'm seeing people that I have been seeing all the time. I just never really kind of, you know. So there's this guy, his like, he was selling bamboo sticks. I was able to talk with him. He told me he's been doing it for like 20 plus years, sent his kids through school through it, you know, and like I would have conversations with these people. And then at the end, I'd be like, you know, I really love connecting with you. Can I please take a picture? I'll take a picture. And so like a lot of time people are just like, oh, what's it for? Are you the news? I was like, no, like honestly, I don't know what it's for, but like, I just want to be creative and active rather than just being at home and doing nothing. So I shot this in March and I wasn't able to see the photos until like December at the end of the year because there was nowhere to process the film. So when I had all these images, I was like, you know what? I remember some of these conversations. Let me just kind of make a project about it. And that's how it came about. So...
Do you have a favorite project?
Definitely Finding Common Ground. Definitely. I'm working on one now. Ooh, I feel like hopefully that'll be my favorite one too, because that definitely...
Can we get a little sneak peek?
I would say it's probably gonna be, you know how artists are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be my most personal work.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of the projects I have done have been about my life in some regard, whether it's how I see the world or how I see society and how it makes me feel. I had one called My Brother's Keeper, which is very much talking about how I felt about life after uni and just like what next and stuff like that. So they tend to be reflections of what I'm going through at the time. But this one I'm working on has been one that like I've actually sat on it for over a year. And it's just been one where it's like, let me live life first. And then talk about my experiences through images, I guess. So it's very personal, very, I guess, deep, but very much still in the early stages of it to some degree. But like, yeah, hopefully it's one that comes out soon. So
looking forward to that.
Yeah. See me, I'm like this. I'm actually like mad shy, like low key, like.
Is this the first time you like said it publicly, or?
Oh yeah, definitely the first time I've mentioned this to friends and stuff before,
right?
But like I've never actually like. I like to shock people, you know. I feel like people nowadays, there's no more shock value, you know.
Yeah.
Like niggas would be like, "Yo, bro, like don't sleep on me, like you know, like we're cooking something, making moves in silence, da, 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 da. And it's like, okay, cool, like we hear you and everything, but like I like to do that thing where it's like, okay, let me actually like process everything away from public perception. Let me not entice anyone. Like when I'm ready to bring it out. But like, yeah, I'm working on personal projects right now, so.
Exciting. What has been the most profound moment for you?
Profound?
Yeah.
2 situations. First and foremost, the Arsenal shoot.
I knew you were going to say that and I wanted to talk about it. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like nothing can, even like, I'm telling you now, 30 years from now, that is probably going to be one of the most profound moments, honestly, for me.
How was it when you got the call? Like,
so it was a very organically made project. Like, for years now, I've been looking at their social media and like usually during the like off season or like it was usually pre-season where like they go abroad and stuff like that. It's very much like more casual. It's not like so sporty. Okay. So there was a time they were in LA and they like had this photographer from the UK fly out there and shoot them on film, and like I just really loved the feel of it. So I was like, who is the person behind this? Like, because it's definitely not like the manager or whatever. Like, they have a team of people who like see, you know, creatives and kind of put them on and stuff like that. But because it's an institution like Arsenal, they're not going to credit everybody in like the posts and stuff. So I was like, who does this? Like who? So I can't remember how. I really wish I do, but I can't remember. But I stumbled across their creative agency. Right. And when I did, I was like, you know, I have to send the email, I have to send the portfolio and everything. So I was like, okay, I was writing this email. I was like, okay, be as formal as possible. And at the point, I just kind of hit backspace and I was like, no, let me just be real. Like, I'm not going to lie, I've been looking for you guys for a very long time. I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan. I've been following them since I was like, 5 years old, you know, and I know that you guys work on their projects. Like, this is my work. Like, let's meet and talk about it. So they were like, yeah, we love your energy. Let's have a meeting. I met with them day before my birthday, just kind of showed them my portfolio. And they're like, oh yeah, we love you. You're going to definitely have your mind for stuff. And then like, long story short, a couple of jobs came along, but like they just kind of didn't fall through. Like it just one reason or the other. Like the first one was too soon from the meeting. So like you couldn't just kind of push me into that. Yeah. Second one, I was supposed to do it for them, but then Arsenal as a whole decided to do it independently and away from the agency. Right. So like, that was like a Christmas shoot, something like that. So I was just kind of like, okay, cool, let me chill, let me just be patient. Like, I love the fact that these guys are like keeping me in mind. It's not like they just forgot about me, which tends to happen a lot. Yeah. So like, let me just be cool, casual about it, right? Then one day I was just playing football, ironically. And then when I finished, just checked my phone. I was like, oh, we'd love to have you for a meeting. And I was like, yeah, sure, set up the Google Meet. And like, you know how if you do a Google Meet, you can see the name of the meeting beforehand. Oh, yeah. I just saw Arsenal H2324. I was like, but you know, the thing is with these kind of things, it's like, there's so many jobs that come your way and they, for one reason or another, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So I'm so used to not like celebrating too early. Right. So I just had to play it cool, like, you know, go through that process, you know, and yeah, when the shoot day happened, I was very chill. Like, I don't really ever feel pressure to do anything, like, ever. But then I remember my assistant, he was just like, you know, this is like your favorite club ever. Like, this is like a big shoot. And I was like 10 minutes before I was supposed to start photographing, I was like, it hit me all at once. Yeah. But it wasn't like, he didn't say it in a way to put pressure, just kind of like,
just to like excite you.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, the shoot went great. I was really sad because that day of the shoot, Bukayo Saka was sick. So I was like, damn, I'm not getting to photograph him, but whatever. Then
you did in the end though, did you? Oh,
so
okay. sorry.
So a week, they told me like it was gonna come out on like around this time. They didn't give me a specific date, but like around this like mid-May or something like that. I'm like, can't remember. So then like literally a week before it was supposed to come out, again, I was playing football.
Oh wow.
Same place, everything. Picked up my phone again. It was a Thursday. They were like, we have a special kind of thingy to do. Like, we want to talk about it on a call. Are you free tomorrow? I was like, I'm free. Like, there's nothing I could possibly be doing that could make me say, sorry, I can't jump on the meeting. But like, I jumped on and they're like, yeah, so we didn't get to shoot because like, but like, we want to like do a little kind of launch with him as well. So literally the week before, the Monday had to shoot him, Tuesday edit, Wednesday submit. Like, it was very quick.
Right.
And then Friday it all came out and I was like, wow.
It's
but
so
like,
cute
yeah.
because when he came out, like I saw the comments on Instagram, everyone was like, Claire, Kemka.
You know what it was?
Like, everyone was so happy for you, and it was so nice to see because university, I mean, it is a big deal, but also knowing that you are an Arsenal fan as well. Yeah. It's like,
I was so happy because I feel like, you know, one thing I love about our people is that we're very supportive.
Yeah.
We're very supportive. And I remember when that came out, so many people that like, even guys I haven't spoken to in years, but like knew from my uni days, the struggles I'll go through were just kind of like, I knew you would do this, you know? I was like really sweet. And I was like, yeah. I remember the day the kit launched, I went to the shop just to see like, you know, I saw my picture on like, literally like billboards on the stadium kind of thing. I bought my brother, my dad, the kit. Funny enough, I don't have one for myself, but like I bought them a kit, and it was just like really wholesome, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like this is crazy. I remember the picture on my post where I'm standing behind the billboards. I literally had to ask a stranger, like, yo, could you please take a little picture of me? Like, because I went by myself, innit? But yeah, man, like literally nothing will really kind of, God willing, there is something that does top that. But like for me,
it will. Because it's going to go beyond your imagination.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I just made peace of like, yeah, this is definitely like a lifetime shoot, you know, like one of those shoots you want to like, but yeah, that's the project.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, we have like 5 minutes left.
Serious?
I know.
I didn't get to... All right, no worries.
What are your other interests outside of photography? What?
When people ask me that, it just makes me realize how much I kind of fully invested into photography.
Yeah.
What am I into? I mean, I'm into sports. Like really, this is the thing. If you ask a 12-year-old this question, they'll give you the same response.
Yeah.
I'm into sports. I like gaming to some degree.
Okay.
I feel like I'm very much a holistic person, so I try to learn about things that kind of help how I think and how I see the world and how I see people. I'm very big on like psychology.
Yeah.
I was supposed to study that. It was like a second choice to engineering, or was it a first choice? Something like that. But like I'm very big on understanding just how we work as humans, how we operate, how, you know, both the physical and the spiritual level of things. And I tend to like, if I'm reading books, it's usually just on that science can't prove, you know?
Yeah.
What else? From there, I guess, you know, this year I've been putting a lot of priority on my health. So a lot more kind of physical activity, a lot more stuff in the gym, mobility, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This year I'm like, I need to actually put some work on my hair. Like I've neglected it. So you know, it's just like I've been growing it for example, like I've just not been putting it, like I've not been prioritizing my hair care and stuff like. So just random things that like I've just been, you know, looking at how to develop myself. But yeah, I would say those things really. What about you? Now that we have like 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. What I'm into outside of
podcasts and
I love fashion.
What type of fashion? Because I'm big on fashion too.
Yeah, for me, I just love like the creativity of like putting an outfit together.
Okay.
I love finding like new niche brands.
If you could wear one brand for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh. Right now, I'll say Coperni.
Interesting. Coperni's not a brand that I usually, or a house that I usually hear people say, because I know them for like their accessories. That's Coperni. Can we also give a round of applause for how amazing she looks today?
Thank you.
When you told me it was going to be on video, I was like, oh shit. And I was like, you know what? Today I was like, you know, just look normal. You know, let me just be. But you've definitely put that shit on today. I saw your bag is Coperni, right?
How do you know?
I told you I'm big on.
You said you like fashion.
I love fashion. Like fashion photography is something I love.
I actually love the fashion photography work you've done.
I haven't done enough.
Yeah, but the most recent ones, I think like your first.
Thank you. Definitely something I'm trying to enter, but like I'm huge on fashion.
I really like fashion.
Okay, Coperni, that's interesting.
It'll probably change in like a year, but I think right now,
Right.
definitely, it's like my vibe.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What else am I into? No, oh my God, I'm gonna come off so shallow. Sleeping.
Real again. You know how people are just like, oh no, like I have a lot of trouble sleeping. I'm like,
no,
how?
I can
Like,
fall asleep like this,
bro.
Yeah, eating. I like eating. I like going out to eat. I like cooking sometimes when I'm in the mood.
Okay.
I like trying new things. I like traveling.
Would you say you're an adventurous person?
Yeah.
So like, are you big on like hikes and?
Oh, not hikes.
You're a city girl then.
Yeah, I'm glamping. I'm not.
No, I'm a huge nature.
I'm not. Yeah, not that. But I like
the city.
Spontaneity. Really.
I hate the city.
I mean, it's cool. I like a balance.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'd love to like cycling. I love cycling. You know, if I could just do more outdoor stuff. Big on that. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay. We always end the podcast with 4 questions that's inspired by a Japanese concept, which is in my logo. It's called Ikigai.
Yeah, I know that.
And wow.
The idea of breaking things down and then like piecing it together. It's basically
like so there's a Venn diagram, and the whole idea is that when you achieve the 4 different things in the Venn diagram,
okay, see me, I was wrong.
It contributes to your purpose.
Okay.
So it's basically like the idea of like little bits that contribute to your purpose, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
So really quickly, what do you love?
Very quickly. Life.
Love that. What are you good at?
Creating.
What do you think you can be paid for outside of photography?
What can I be paid for?
Something else that you can be paid for outside of photography.
Teaching.
Okay. What do you think the world needs?
Patience.
Ooh, that's a good one. And no one has said that.
No, patience is important.
Wow.
We're too fast in this world, you know?
Wow.
We're way too fast. If you look at the idea of like empathy, you know, empathy comes from a place of patience where you're slow enough to be like, let me look at it from their perspective and gain an understanding. I feel like we need more patience. Even just to digest, even art. I wish people that looked at my work for like, and their phone froze for like 5 minutes, you know, before they, patience. That's what I say.
Wow. No, that was really, really good. That really has me thinking. Wow, that's so true. But yeah, Kemka, honestly, I wish we had longer. This was so good.
I mean, we could have.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was actually my fault. I was late. But you'll be back.
It was our fault. We'll be back. Definitely. I love talking.
I'm happy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I love you guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good
Click the link.
Click the link.
Click the link. That's it. I've always wanted to do that, you know.
Oh yeah, click the link down.
Click the link.
Click the link down below. But yeah.